Have you ever wondered what a 1-inch sensor in a phone would look like? What if you fancied 8K video resolution that doesn't actually suck and has real-time AI recognition video subtitles? Or maybe you're just a Xiaomi fan who's considering their latest and greatest flagship. Well, if you're into all of that, we have with us the Xiaomi 12S Ultra. Fitted with the world's largest sensor in a phone, yet it is inevitably one of the best image outputs we've tested so far with its 50-megapixel Sony IMX989 main camera. While this may be the largest image sensor ever fitted in a smartphone, it's surely not the first. A quick nod to the Sony Xperia Pro I, which also came with a 1-inch sensor but only utilized the middle portion of the sensor, which was only effective up to 12 megapixel, resulting in some really great video outputs in our experience, but it may appeal more to camera enthusiasts as opposed to your average consumer. If you'd like to know more about our thoughts on the Xperia Pro I, click the card above and subscribe for more simplified reviews. It goes without saying that Xiaomi really did go all out with this camera construction, with an all-new Sony IMX989 sensor purposefully built for the Xiaomi 12S Ultra, which takes up almost half of the entire surface on the back of the phone. Weighing approximately 225 grams, even when holding it in our hands, it does feel top-heavy and might take time getting used to. Consisting of a 50-megapixel wide, a 48-megapixel periscope, and a 48-megapixel ultra-wide, you might think the camera in the middle would be the 1-inch sensor. Well, it's not. It's the one above the ultra-wide camera, which houses the 1-inch sensor 50-megapixel camera. Photo options are quite simply astonishing, with a natural depth of field and an aperture f1.9. We would even say it beats the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra in the way it manages light flares thanks to Leica lenses, while also allowing more light in with that big sensor. Sharpness is also very well retained at night with a 48-megapixel periscope, while daylight settings in the main camera is nothing short of amazing and truly has the best natural look when it comes to estimating depth. The falloff from subjects are so soft, it's as if there are actual layers of glass elements in front of the sensor like you would get on a DSLR or mirrorless camera. It's the way the image starts off blurring from the bottom to middle of the frame and falls back to that background bokeh. All done without any software portrait mode type deal, just a big sensor, good coated lenses, and fast aperture. A holy trinity achievement in capturing great exposure in either day or night while still getting high dynamic range. But it's also worth mentioning that a big collaborator to this level of quality is Leica and their color science. In collaboration with Sony and Leica in developing this camera, there's also a toggle for either Leica Vibrant or Leica Authentic, which brings a slight adjustment in contrast and even a bit of vignette. Video performance also takes advantage of that big sensor, topping at 8K at 24 frames per second, showing more depth of field as it does in photos. But it may suffer more in lower light, yet still manages exposures correctly in most situations. Daylight conditions are impressive in 8K and 4K, but show some color shifts when switched between the wide-angle or telephoto lens. Another impressive feature is AI subtitles, which dictates speech in real time.
One day, tomorrow, the future, everything is new. I don't know what I'm saying, but the subtitles are really cool. So let's see where this brings the technology of the future.
While this may not exactly be completely accurate and even limited to only English or Mandarin, it's still a feat on its own, being able to recognize different voices and display sentences in real life.
你好，我是吴。你吃饱了没有？你要不要见我的朋友杰森？
Perhaps this could even be more useful if Xiaomi were to integrate this with Google Translate, which has decades of translation data and could possibly integrate this sort of technology to the world of filmmaking and broadcasting that still largely uses the conventional way of translation.
Most of the time the dictations are not exactly correct, but for the sake of this test, it's pretty insane because real-time text dictations is still quite new, and the fact that this Leica or Xiaomi 12S Ultra can do that, that's something new.
No, yes, yes, no. Hello, testing. 1, 2. Hello, 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 no.
Let's try this differently, having two people talking.
Hi, Cedric.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Although the overall build of these cameras are impressive, inconsistent outputs for different focal lengths may be the biggest fault and may have a lot to do with software bugs, which could use a little more attention to detail in optimizing future builds of this stature. While the 12S Ultra may be a camera-focused phone, it still rocks all the flagship internals such as a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 and Adreno 730 with 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs or 512 gigs of storage. A 120Hz LTPO AMOLED 6.73-inch Dolby Vision HDR10 Plus display capable of producing over 1 billion colors and even has 1500 nits peak brightness, decently loud Harman Kardon stereo speakers, all wrapped up in this Xiaomi 12 Pro-like frame with a heavier feel as well as a leather-type texture on the back that justifies it just a little more as a top-tier flagship. Battery life comes with a decent 4860 mAh and should last you the whole day, and even supports up to 67-watt fast charging that will get you back to 100% in 40 minutes. If you're looking out for this phone in Malaysia or Singapore, you might be disappointed as the 12S Ultra will only be sold in China, which explains the very non-existent Google mobile services in this phone as well. Somehow, it seems that Xiaomi never intended for this phone to get as much attention as it did. After all, mincing words around to the media explaining how this phone is in limited stock kinda shows how they might be saving the 12S Ultra to make a stronger comeback in its next iteration before being made available to other parts of the world. Inevitably, if calculated innovation drives a technology company's growth, then there's no doubt they're on the right track with Ultra phones like these. It feels as though they plan to go head-to-head with the likes of Samsung and their Galaxy Ultra phones in the years to come. It should be a sight to see for all tech enthusiasts in 2023, and we can't wait. Till then, this 12S Ultra unorthodoxically has easily stolen the crown for best cameras from the Galaxy S22 in our opinion. But then again, the season of smartphones has just begun, so fasten your seatbelts because we're in for a ride.